early access is a bit of a strange deal, and I think it's only getting stranger. We as players and on the outside treat it as a bit of a preview and a promise, whereas devs definitely treat it like a workshop where it's being worked on. And I think these variances in that creates levels of mismatched expectations. And I think the more we explore ways in which this is being evaluated and what is early access and how each game treats it differently is something that we're going to keep seeing weirder and weirder possibilities coming out of it. But a few of the games I've been playing recently have been making me rethink how even I approach early access and what I've been doing with it. Because it's a challenge, because it starts to challenge, I'm trying to think of how to word this, but like, it challenges assumptions that I've had that are preconceived notions, and I think it brings it into the games, and then I examine how I'm engaging with these games and what that experience is expected versus what it is in actuality. So I thought, let's flip the camera on, let's have a little bit of a discussion, let's share our thoughts, talk this out loud and see if any of this resonates or if you have your own experiences with this, because there's a lot of games nowadays more than ever that are going the early access route, and rightfully so. I'd say for me, the most recent 4 examples are Don't Lose Aggro, Moonlighter 2, Slay the Spire 2, and No Rest for the Wicked. And as I was jotting my notes down in my handy-dandy little notebook, I started to really look at what early access asks of players and what it reveals about how we experience games while they're still kind of figuring out what they are. More games now more than ever are starting at a stronger point. Like when they want it, they're putting it out in the public. So to come out in the public, you don't want to have a very loose alpha. Hey, models are still dummies in the crudest sense. It's got to be presentable in some fashion, almost like how you would see at a convention demo or a hands-on demo of some kind. You want something playable because I think more often than not, there's a lot of fine-tuning that they're trying to get, or they're introducing mechanics, but they don't know what the sweet spots are. And I think, again, this highlights and iterates on something of a bit of that unspoken rule of what is that early access contract between a player and a developer. And, we think the player's thinking, I'm buying earlies because I want to play early, and that can be a little bit of a preconceived notion. So you're like, hey, give me a mostly complete game with some bugs and I'm cool, but that's not the case. Developers are here thinking, hey, you're buying early because we want you to be part of that build change, and you should be expecting small and or dramatic changes. And I think some level of that could be a little bit of a friction point. Obviously varies game to game. Like none of this is a tried law or anything, but I think you see things enough times you can start putting data points on the paper, and you're like, when things like this occur, your players are always asking, like, why did something change to things I like? Why isn't this balanced? Why did this feel unfinished? I think Slay the Spire 2 is going through that right now. The first one was such a hit success, and now that they've allowed for early access to be like, hey, be a part of this conversation, and they're doing everything they can to communicate that with their audiences. Whenever a debuff or something negative occurs to a build or an optimal thing, they're getting such strong reviews, and it's like dramatically like, hey, negative, super extremely negative. And it's like, okay, well, how else I think that says 2 things. One, there could be a disconnect with what the expectation is of for the players, but 2, what outlets do players have in which to give their feedback besides reviews? Sometimes that's the most immediate thing they think of. It's like, hey, if I don't like it, I'll leave a review of it. It's like, okay, and then that just keeps going back and forth. But I don't know what else that could impact. But then you look at early access, and it's like, a literal living designed document that is being done in the public eye. Like everyone's watching it occur, whether you're not playing it or you're playing it, you're a dev, whoever, publisher. And it's not just like content being added. There is a differentiation between live service and early access. Early access is like, hey, what is a bug and what is a design philosophy? What is a placeholder versus what's a core identity? What's intended version of this play? And I think I kind of looped in, kind of going back to the item of like the preconceived notion, and my thoughts are just kind of all over the place, but we're just working it out as we're talking. But I think there's some baggage we bring in as players sometimes to this. And I've narrowed it down to what I think is 4 key areas. Players often think of early access as demos. They're just like a small slice of the game. and I'm not going to be too disappointed. It's not too huge, but I'm also not spending too much time with this. I just want to sample it. I want to see if it's kind of in the way I like, and I'll come back. I might potentially come back. I might not. I think I've done that. I've had my experience of that. I think I more so with the context of like Hades 2 with Supergiant's game. I very much knew what I wanted and what I was going to get, and I wanted to jump in early, feel it, see what's changed, what hasn't on the onset, and then I played a little bit of it. But I wanted to preserve my experience, kind of trusting and knowing that developer to then be like, okay, I'll wait for the full experience. Other games, though, I'll say I'm less so like that, and that's where this could fall maybe in some of the other areas. But then the next pillar, the next one would be unfinished games, where players are like, this is very unfinished, and it's almost to the point where it could be too discounted and too forgiving. And then there's a risk there of like, well, now we're just dismissing things and like, oh, well, they know to fix it. But like the whole point of from a lot of it is like, hey, I want feedback so I know what to fix, because I'm putting it out here for you to tell me. The third one sometimes could be a bit of, hey, is this a money grab? I'm suspicious. I don't know. Why are you asking for money when you don't even have a finished game? That kind of thing. And people get burned from that. And I think as game prices go up, and that's a larger conversation. And then the fourth game kind of goes on what I was talking about earlier of, is this a live service? I should just be expecting updates all the time. And so when I look at the games I've been playing, especially like No Rest for the Wicked is one key example, it's very much that like, hey, it's evolving as we're going, and you're part of that discussion, and you're helping shape where it's gonna go. It is a very built-out, thoroughly made game, but we're still asking you to be along this journey. They just did earlier this year, their multiplayer patch, which was a huge patch, and I think a huge avenue of more players coming to this game, because that was like, hey, I want to play this game in a multiplayer fashion. And that drew a lot of eyes to it, and several other quality of life updates. But again, kind of, it's a messy prototype. It's teetering that line of like polished game versus still kind of dialing it in. And then we start looking at some case studies of this, and like what matters in these conversations is really what I guess I'm boiling down to is it's the type of early access game we want a baseline that is already confident. Like, I think there's some of these games like Slay the Spire 2, No Rest for the Wicked, even Hades, Moonlighter 2, and Don't Lose Aggro. There's a strong, like, they're coming out strong, and they're coming out very confident, and they're coming about very weighted and heavy. And I think that is great. Like, as a player, I'm like, this is a treat. But I think knowing the history of early access, they're not always like that. And I've seen developers play around with what version of what early access is. They're trying to get player feedback of some mild technical difficulties. But what we were talking about was the different ways in which developers explore variations to early access, from, like I said, demos to limited quantities of doing early access to full-blown, hey, this is a public conversation and we're going to ride this journey out. I think all are on the table, and so many other versions are probably of this coming out too, where they're tiered approach, dev talks the whole way. I think No Rest for the Wicked, again, is a great example of this, of like, they keep doing these recurring videos that are like, hey, this is what this next big update is meaning to be, and what we'd like you to think in mind and have that. And there's a certain level of like marketing push in that journey leading up to launch. And then launch becomes, okay, hey, the game's out, what do we work towards next, or are we done? But I say all this to say, I think when we look at the questions of whether we want to help, what is this conversation of early access? Is it worth it to play? Like, I think is oftentimes what players come to. And while that is a fair question to ask, and I've asked it myself plenty of times, I think something I'm more and more inclined to ask myself as I'm going through these games and sorting whether they're worth it is whether I want to be part of that conversation of whatever the game is becoming. And to me, I think that's an important distinction to be made, because that makes it... It's not that the first question shouldn't exist. It's more so that, like, I want to make sure I'm asking this as well, I should say, not in place of, but... asking that more so is like, yeah, how involved do I want to be with this, or what do I want to see out of this journey, or what state am I okay with? In some games, I do want to engage with that. I know I Slay the Spire 2, No Rest for the Wicked. They have me. Like, I'm there for it. I want to be the part of that. Hey, I've seen it go through these changes. Same with Don't Lose Aggro and Moonlighter 2. Like, I love, and I've grown to really enjoy what they're doing, and that's the beginning of that. And I'm becoming, because I'm enjoying these experiences, I'm more and more inclined to want to do that and ask these questions more and more of myself. And I think that is ultimately kind of where I sit with this, of like how I view and how I want to experience early access. It's sometimes maybe, hey, here's an early door, a glimpse of things, but sometimes it's like, yeah, I want to be part of that conversation and help shape what it is. Given that I'm able to vocalize and share my feelings and impressions on that, I think helps further emphasize that point for me. That may be different for everyone, and that's kind of what I'm curious about. So again, these games are kind of a big reminder for that for me, but it reveals something about us as well, like how we judge, how we commit, how we assume, and how we experience things. Because the way in which we engage with a game and at what point and on what platform and in what manner really shapes how that game connects with us or doesn't. So I guess I leave the question before we wrap up, and maybe I have another technical difficulty, is when you hear early access, how do you treat it? Is it any of the ones I've described, or do you view it differently? I'd love to know. Please let me know what you think, and leave a comment or two, just sharing your insights or your experiences. I'm always wondering what's going on with this, but thank you again for watching this in its entirety. If you reach this point in the video, maybe leave a like, subscribe. It always goes a mile for me, and we'll catch you in the next save point.